I'll get you to stop it when we're done.
Okay, so I was looking at some of our data, went through the APAP scores and the iReady diagnostics, and some of the places that I felt like our lowest kids struggle the most were with fractions. And I know that we go a lot more in detail with fractions, so I just came up with a plan that we could possibly use for math intervention for our ESL kids and for our tier 3 kids that we can maybe implement. So I just want to go through some of it with you, but y'all can add, let me know what we could add or take away. But I also wanted to do a literacy component of this one. So did like, the standard for math would be comparing fractions, but then the literacy would be using details from the text to indicate what the text explicitly states, which I feel like our kids struggle with the most when we have word problems, because they don't really understand what it's asking them to do. So from there, I made like and y'all will be familiar with this game. This is one that we semi-did on I'll show you too. But it's where we have the playing cards. Let me go down to it. I figured we could get them excited about comparing fractions, but we would have something concrete where they would draw 2 cards, put the fraction over the pencil, and then they would have the bar models that they could create the fraction. And then they could compare. And the way I set it up, I know we did that before, but the way I set it up, that they would compete with each other. Like player 1, player 2, whoever has the bigger fraction gets to keep all the cards. And like they'll play for 15 minutes or something. Just to get them engaged. But then I felt like the place where they struggle was not really like making the models, but more like this stuff. And I created a bunch of word problems to help us. Just like Roxy traveled 3/8 of the distance to the beach, while Charlie traveled 1/4, who traveled further. So I was thinking maybe for our lowest ones, we need to start making like concrete examples in their journals, and maybe even back it up to like 2nd grade, because I don't know if y'all have experienced this, but even when we start naming fractions, some of them look at me like they don't even know what a fraction is. But we could go back and start with, this is what 1/2 is, and then work our way up to where they can always go back in the notebook. So y'all tell me, what do you think? What could we add? I have like a book read aloud. I'd rather read it, but if we can't find it, someone read it on YouTube.
I think they're gonna really like the game. I think that's a good idea.
Also for like the quick assessment, you know how we do like on Fridays, so we can have documentation. I had it like, this is another fun lesson where the lady like explains it with pie. But the quick assessment I pulled from iReady, but I cut it and just down to like, actually probably could have cut it down to just 10, but just where they would use this, but I put on there that if we did the interactive notebook, they could use that with this, and they could have the bar models. And also, I can't remember if we use these or not. Have we used these? I feel like I know we do with decimals, but maybe with the lower ones, we can provide the model already, because that's the other part, them drawing the model, it gets all jacked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I
I
think that would
definitely
help.
think using any type of model will help. I like that idea about the journal, like putting it in the journal.
Megan and I talked about really for intervention, we might start leaning toward, that's what they bring.
Yeah.
We'll start,
That's
because
a good idea.
we don't really use it, and I had found like, the county provided word problems for every standard. I left it at home too, but we would have to tweak them, because they're kind of some of the older standards, and like the, what's the other set of standards, the national, whatever.
Yeah.
We'd have to tweak them to where they're just the Alabama ones, but a lot of them we could make to where they could do it in their notebook, and then we could provide stuff like this where they could model it, and then when we assess on Friday, like, you can look at your journal.
Yeah, that's great.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea.